Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. Hello if you're new. So today's episode is going to be a review of RuPaul's Secret Celebrity Drag Race Season 1 Episode 4, which is the final episode of this new kind of RuPaul's Drag Race format. Apologies for not uploading last week. I had a lot going on last week and my workload was becoming a bit overwhelming, so I had to sacrifice the recording, unfortunately, but we back to our regular weekly format. As always, feel free to comment down below your thoughts on my commentary. I'm always up for a chat, I'm always up for a debate, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. No hard feelings. So in terms of what I did think about last season, a quick recap. In terms of the mentors, I love Kim Chi. I feel like she's an underrated queen and I'd love to see her brought back as a guest judge or a mentor or a guest for the show. In terms of the celebrities that we had last episode, I only really knew one of them, Alex Newell from Glee. But they were all pretty decent. I feel like they were all very enthusiastic. Dustin was obviously fish bait. I would have perhaps liked his makeup to be a lot more softer. I feel like some of his makeup was a bit harsh on the cheekbones. But I think overall, they all did a good job. I think Matt was the best at the runway. His outfit wasn't my favourite, but his presentation was on point. He was really feeling himself. And I was really actually quite surprised with how enthusiastic Matt was about this whole competition. In terms of the roast, I particularly didn't really find it funny, except for Kim Chi. She's the only person I found funny. Not even Bob I found funny. Only Kim Chi. I think there was a lot of white straight male coddling in terms of Dustin with that whole storyline that they were going with him and his masculinity. It just felt a lot of cookie giving that episode, in my opinion. And the lip sync was decent. It wasn't the best, but I can appreciate the enthusiasm for all of them. I personally didn't agree with the trio win. I think it should have been a joint win between Dustin and Alex. I personally was a bit underwhelmed by Alex's performance. I would have considered him being in Glee and him regularly being in drag would have given him an edge, but it didn't. But overall, decent episode. But obviously what you guys came here from, episode 4. So the mentors this week are Vanjie. Absolutely loved her on her season. Sometimes she can be a bit extra. She definitely knows how to play up to the cameras, but overall, I can respect her hustle and the bag that she is getting for somebody who was out the first episode, who has managed to build this name for herself. Iconic. Alyssa Edwards is back. I loved her from her season. And Monique Hart, she was also one of my favourites from her season and All Stars as well. I think overall, all have their own kind of separate personalities. They work well with each other. So I think this week, the mentors were strong. Obviously, we know the format, so I'm not going to go through it again. But obviously, the celebrities this week, we had a few more recognisable celebrities, especially for the younger audience, Generation Z. First up, we had Phoebe Robinson. Not going to lie, didn't really know who she was. I had heard of her podcast, though, but I didn't know who she was. Obviously, she's a comedian, and her whole thing is she's the watcher of the show, so that's why she wanted to be in this competition. Then we get Madison Beer, obviously the singer. Love her music, love her. She's absolutely gorgeous. She also says, she's a watcher of the show, and she also says she wants to kind of show a more authentic side to her because she feels like people have a lot of misconceptions about her. I thought it interesting that she signed up to be on this show because I think it's quite interesting that she signed up to be on the show because I feel like she already has a lot of clout. But of course, it is still a good business move. There is a particular audience that watch drag that she could tap into. So yes, I definitely respect her decision to be on the show, but I was a little bit surprised that she was on it. And then we have Hayley Hiyoko. She's a singer and an actress. I think she's better known as a singer. I was kind of surprised, but not kind of surprised because she's queer. I wasn't really surprised that she is on the show, but then at the same time, I wouldn't imagine her or my idea of her as somebody who would go on a show like this because she does seem quite laid back. I don't really know her music, but I know of her. And of course, this is another Women in Drag episode. And you know what? I'm here for it. And you know what? At first, I was a bit skeptical about, them being women on the show, because it is a drag show. But you know what? I'm actually down with it now and I'd like to see it repeated if they do renew it for another season. So right off the bat, just kind of looking at the actors, I personally thought Madison would be the one to watch because she is a performer. But based on the intros, who did you have your eye on in terms of who could be a strong contender? So then obviously Rue comes in the normal format. She introduces the mentors. She tells them what the format's going to be. And then we see the quick drag first. And it was a kind of grammar themed thing. And I think they all did pretty decent. I think they all did okay. They all made an effort to make themselves a specific character. But in terms of who I think had the best quick drag, I think Hayley had the best quick drag in terms of actually looking like a granny. Then we had the mini challenge, which was kind of this acting challenge, there's a dance challenge. And again, they all did pretty decent. But I think the standout of the mini challenge was definitely Phoebe. She did that. You can tell she's a really good actress. And she won that challenge. And after that, I was kind of like, after seeing that, I kind of thought that Phoebe was going to be the one to watch. And Hayley was in the confessional saying, you know, she thinks that Madison is strong, but she thinks her main competition is Phoebe. And at first I was kind of like, I think it's unwise to rule Madison out. But after seeing that mini challenge, I was like, okay, maybe Phoebe is the one to watch. But what did you guys think up until that point? Did you think that Phoebe was the one to watch, or do you feel like it was still pretty much a fair game, or did you think it was between Phoebe and somebody else? Let me know. Then Rue reveals it's going to be a type of performance / lip syncing challenge. So obviously Phoebe won, so she gets to pick who everybody's paired up with. For herself, she picks Alyssa Edwards, and I personally thought she was going to pick Monique Hart, and I think if I was her, I would have picked Monique Hart because in terms of seeing everybody's strong points, I think that Monique would be the strongest mentor for this. But I can definitely see why she picked Alyssa, because obviously Alyssa was the winner of All Stars, I believe, but correct me if I'm wrong. Then she pairs Maddie with Monique. And I thought it was quite interesting because I could tell that Maddie wanted to be with Vanjie, and she paired Hayley with Vanjie. And with that pair up, I kind of just thought it was going to be a 2-horse race between Phoebe and Madison. I completely had written off Hayley at this point. Then obviously we see a few moments in the workroom. Phoebe says that she's using this experience to boost her confidence because in comedy she always feels like she can't really be who she is because she has to make herself consumable in a male-dominated environment, which I think is quite interesting. And I think a lot of women who work in male-dominated environments feel that way, feel like they have to tone themselves down a bit to make them a bit more consumable. And Phoebe reveals that her drag name is going to be called Cocotini. We also see a moment with Madison where she says that she wants to kind of prove people wrong, but she also wants to have the experience as a drag queen. And I think that's also a valid reason, because I feel like most of the time they always bring in this elaborate story like my neighbour's sister's cousin was gay and I knew him, so that's why I want to be on this show. And not gonna lie, she did bring up the gay relative. There's always one episode who has a gay relative. She has a gay granddad, and she says that's one of the reasons why she wanted to do it. And I find it quite interesting because I feel like the producers asked them, what gay relative do you have to offer up to put in the storyline? And I always think like just knowing someone who's gay, regardless of whether they're relative or not, I'm not sure if that really brings anything to the experience, It's perfectly okay to just want to be in a drag show and that's it, And again, I feel like the running theme here, I feel like knowing somebody who's gay and accepting them for who they are is not really true allyship, but the way that they frame it is kind of making it seem like it is, and I have an issue with that. But what do you guys think about that? How throughout all of the episodes they've always made an emphasis if somebody's relative was gay. Let me know what you guys think about that. And in terms of other things that she said that she wanted to use this experience to be a bit more confident because she admires the confidence of the drag queens. And she reveals that her name is going to be Coral Fixation. Then we see Hayley having a little moment with Vanjie, and she says that she wants to use this competition to explore her femininity because she's always kind of struggled with her gender presentation. She's a self-proclaimed tomboy, and she's always felt pressure to maybe be a bit more feminine and stuff like that. I think a lot of people can definitely relate to that when you are, certain of your gender identity, but then you feel like you don't meet the stereotype or you don't meet the standards of your gender. So I think there's definitely going to be a lot of other women who can relate to that. We find out that her drag name is Queen Elizabeth. Then we kind of get a snippet of some of the walks. Madison looks pretty strong in heels, but Phoebe is kind of struggling. You know, she's kind of asking for wedges, and Alyssa's just like, what is that? What is a wedge? Alyssa was not here for any wedge business. And then Rue comes in and she goes around, speaks to the contestants. Phoebe reveals that their charity is going to be a charity that deals with trying to lower the price of HIV medicine to make it more accessible. Then we see him speaking to Hayley. Hayley gets a little bit emotional and kind of reveals that she finally accepts herself and her identity, but the journey that it's taken on her. Sometimes when she thinks about it, she just gets emotional about it. And I think a lot of queer people will definitely be able to relate with that in terms of the journey. And she also reveals that her charity of choice is Planned Parenthood. Then we go to Madison, and Madison reveals that her charity of choice is the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project, again, I think this is where true allyship comes in, putting action behind your words and supporting people actually doing the work. So then we see the rehearsals, and everybody is looking pretty shaky except for Madison. Madison looks pretty solid. So I was kind of thinking, well, maybe Madison could be the one to watch now, because it looks like Madison is the only person that is, you know, hitting everything consistently. But what did you guys think after that rehearsal? Did you kind of feel like, okay, it's looking like Madison is going to win? Or were you kind of like, I'm not going to rule anyone out? And then we have the makeup reveals. And first up was Madison. And the makeup was actually pretty decent, but it did look a little bit Barbie ghost. Then we see Hayley, and Hayley's makeup was bad. It looked ashy. The color palette was not great. And I'm not surprised that Hayley was having second doubts, because the makeup I personally expected better from Vanjie. And then we see Phoebe, and Phoebe's makeup looks good. I feel like Phoebe probably had the best makeup. Alyssa Edwards did a great job with Phoebe. Then we get a little snippet where we see Hayley kind of second guessing herself, and I think one of the main reasons why is because she's looking at herself in the mirror and she's like, everybody has nice makeup except for me. Like, my makeup looks absolute shite. So I'm not surprised she was kind of second guessing herself. And then we see her have a little moment with Vanjie. Vanjie gets emotional, and the way that they edited it in was a bit jarring, because it's kind of like, oh, well, why is Vanjie crying now? But I think from what I deduced, it was kind of like the similarities of Vanjie's battle with his kind of identity. And I think that's what he was getting emotional about, because he could relate to Hayley's situation. And then obviously next we see the main challenge performance. And in terms of what I thought of each contestant, I think Phoebe was okay, but I was a bit underwhelmed. I think she definitely held back a bit. She definitely could have gone in a bit more. Hayley, I was presently surprised, because I had written her all the way off, because not gonna lie, like throughout it, she kind of just seemed very laid back, like she didn't really want to be there. But Hayley, bring it. That is like the definition of silent but deadly, because she blew it out of the park. Like, she was the clear standout of that performance. She was giving face, she was giving performance, she was giving personality. I was like, okay, bitch, I forgot you were an actual singer and performer and an actor. So yes, a job well done, and I was pleasantly surprised by that performance. Madison did a decent job. She looked good. The makeup looked a lot better on stage, but I think she was trying too hard to look good while she was doing her performance. And I think that's what hampered it, because when you compare it to Hayley's performance, Hayley generally looked like she was having fun, while Madison looked like she was trying to look cute while lip syncing. So in terms of who I think had the best performance, I'd have to say Hayley hands down. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Do you think somebody else had the better performance? Do you think Phoebe had the better performance, or do you think Madison had the better performance? I want to know. And then we have the runway. Phoebe's runway was okay. Her outfit definitely could have been a bit better. I think it was a bit cheeky from Alyssa, considering what she was wearing, because her outfit looked amazing. And it's just kind of like, how come you look amazing but your contestant isn't up to par? You know? Hayley, the makeup was bad again, but I really liked the outfit. And you know what? I gotta give it to Hayley. She sold it. Even with the bad makeup, she sold it. She sold the garment. She sold the fantasy. and I think she definitely had the best runway presentation. Then we have Madison. The makeup this time did look a little bit ghosty. She has a very strong walk and a very strong stage presence. So then we have the critiques, and we all know that the critiques are good. I don't really need to go through that. Then we have the family coming in. That was a little cute moment. And then we have the lip sync, which I was quite interested about, because now I was thinking, well, it could really be anyone's game now. But now I was kind of thinking about Hayley, because I was like, she has hit every single challenge. I think she could win it. So obviously the lip sync comes, and it was a strong lip sync, but I think Hayley was the standout again. I think Phoebe was okay, but again, she was holding back again, and I think some of the words she actually messed up. Madison, she was good, she was solid, but again, she was definitely focused on looking cute on TV. But again, Hayley, she was just having fun with it. She looked like she was having so much fun. She was giving face, she was giving personality. Stand-out performance. She swept the floor with everybody, in my opinion. And I think she won, period. So I wasn't surprised when Ru named her as the winner. But what did you guys think? Do you think somebody else was a worthy winner, or do you feel like Hayley clearly won that? I really liked the speech that she gave, the winning speech. It was a really good, uplifting message. So I was definitely here for it. So yeah, a well-deserved winner. So in terms of what I thought about this episode, I like the contestants, but overall the structure of the episode, I think it was one of the most boring episodes. And I think it's because the interviews that they put in with Madison and Hayley, they put a lot of them in there, and it was very ASMR, very conversational. And Madison has a lot of personality, but the footage that they put in of her in the confessional made her seem very boring. I want to be in this competition, but, I'm not really sure if I can do well in this competition. It was just, that was just like half the episode. And I think Phoebe definitely should have gotten more screen time in the confessional, because she was the only one really bringing any sort of personality to her confessional. And I feel like it should have been down to the directors to spruce it up a bit, to be like, okay, we need something a bit more exciting. We need you to show a bit more personality. So I'm not going to blame... So my issue is not necessarily with Hayley and Madison being boring. I think they definitely should have been given a lot more direction, because they both clearly have personalities. But other than that, it was pretty decent. I feel like they all made an effort, and the mentors were solid this week. Obviously, this is the final episode of this season. And in terms of what I think of it overall as a show, I think it's a pretty decent show, and I think it's a pretty decent show, and I'd be here for it. And I'd be here for another season of it. A part of me would like to see it in a normal format, like them having say 10 celebrities and they battle it out with the normal format. I think that would be quite interesting to see. Do you like the fast track format? Would you like to see a regular format with the celebrities, or do you not like the show at all? I'd be interested to know. I think my favorite episode was episode 2, the one with Tammy, Lonely and Vanessa. My favourite lip sync was probably that episode as well. I'd be interested to hear from you guys as well. And I think my favourite winner, I'd probably have to say Hayley. I think Hayley was my favourite winner. I think she was consistent throughout all of the challenges. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. What was your favourite episode? What was your favourite lip sync? And who was your favourite winner? So on Twitter, people were here for Hayley Hiyoko being on the show. People were also here for Madison Beer. Well, people are saying that Madison definitely did not deserve to win, and that her look was basic. Oh, what is all this fighting about, girls? What is all this fighting about, girls? I don't think Madison should have won, but I'm not sure why people are coming for her. To be honest, there's not really much on Twitter, to be honest, so that's pretty much about it. So that's pretty much the rundown on Twitter. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode and what you thought of the series overall. And of course, let me know your thoughts on my commentary. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put that notification bell on. I'm almost at 1.3 subscribers, and I'd appreciate it if you help me reach my short-term goal. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put that notification bell on so you'll know when the next review is dropping. I'm almost at 1.3k subscribers, and I really appreciate it if you help me reach my short-term goal. Till next time, guys. Bye.